It's time for all Essendon supporters to don the sash and make a stand together. Call 1300 GO BOMBERS or visit membership.essendonfc.com.au today.
Shorey, ahead of Essendon's clash with Melbourne tomorrow, let's start at the selection table. What did you make of the changes?
Well, they're meeting in there now behind us, just had a light run. I'm always of the mind that they pick a squad. So there could be a late change coming into the side. Have a look at the Melbourne side, see how they balance up, and then maybe a late change. McKernan, I think, is very important to the Essendon structure overall, but he played a poor game last week. But it is a pretty savage reaction. It just shows me that John Worsfold and his coaching group are not accepting average standards. Bird came in November. He's been a very good recruit in terms of experience that he's brought. Played a defensive forward role at Sydney, hasn't been used that way for Essendon, and I think there's a role there for him. But he's been thrust into the midfield. And of course, Simpkin, I think, a premiership player at Hawthorn. It looked like last week he was on the wing and found himself on Rosa. Rosa played a dominant game, had very high possession, so that might be just a savage reaction to form.
What about structurally with the inclusions? Obviously Hartley coming in, he's an extra key defender. Does that change things for the Bombers?
It gives them much better flexibility and options available. We saw last week Ambrose, I think he's a vastly improved player, very fit. That allows him to go to like Jack Watts and put him out of the game. He will match Watts for his running. Hartley or Brown to the dominant Hogan is a very, very important matchup. Just gives them greater flexibility. So also, if the matchups are right, it gives you that flexibility of Brown to go forward. And I still think we're probably one marking target short up forward.
We haven't seen Nick Comer for the last 2 years, but he gets his chance on Saturday. What will his role be?
Great story. I think it's linked to the way the team wants to play. He's a great story, great comeback. We know the effort he puts into his game, the defensive pressure, and if you think of the main weakness of the Essendon game last week was the ability to keep the ball in the forward line. Not only did they miss targets going to the forward line, it came out too quickly. Now that leads to the back half of the ground not having the time to set up. You've got to allow your back line and your team defence time to set up. So you've got to keep it in your forward line. If it comes in and goes straight out, you've got no hope. And I think he's going to play a very, very important role with his toughness and his aggression and keeping the forward line, keeping the ball in the forward line.
Melbourne's big-bodied midfielders are pretty strong as well, and they add Brayshaw to that group. What does Essendon need to do to match him in that area of the ground?
Well, I've got bad news for you. They're not only adding Brayshaw, but last week they rotated Bernie Vince, a dual best and fairest, and Nathan Jones, the captain, off half-back. They didn't have another half-back flanker. So Lumumba coming into that side gives you Lumumba and Salem on their half-back. So they're back to their natural setup, which allows Vincent Jones and Brayshaw to be added to the midfield mix. It's a very, very strong midfield, a lot deeper than the Essendon midfield at this stage, understandably so. So that's the way Melbourne are going to structure up with their midfield. It bats very, very deep.
So you're talking to the team in the moments before they run out to the ground. What are the two things you want them to focus on, particularly early, but then for the full 4 quarters?
Well, I think overall improvement. They would have had their meetings last week. That would be the first thing put up on them. This is where we want to improve. These are our focus areas. More so team than individual, because they've made individual decisions at the selection table. So it's about the team. Defensive transition, keep the ball in the forward line. Give us an opportunity to set up our team defence so that we can put pressure on Melbourne so it doesn't come out easy. That's going to be really critical in this game. You know, people say it's one in the midfield. Well, last week's wasn't one in the midfield. It was one by the ease in which the Gold Coast come out. So that's a very, very important improvement area.
Is there anything else you're looking forward to this weekend?
Yeah, Oliver versus Parrish. Okay? Be fantastic. And it will happen. You know, it won't be set up or anything. The way both teams rotate their midfields, young Parrish will be in there and so will Oliver. So I think the right decision was made last week. Despite Essendon's young fella having an outstanding game, I think the rising star went to the right bloke. But Darcy Parish and the Essendon Footy Club can make a little bit of a statement for this week. It'll be a great game.
Certainly will. The first battle of many over the next decade between those two. Shorey, thanks a lot for your time. We look forward to watching it all unfold.
Thanks very much, Simon.